All right, this video is an answer to many questions that we get about dogs around children. There's there's a ton of different scenarios that people ask me about, but specifically, people want to know what to do when their dog has already displayed some signs that that he's uncomfortable or she is uncomfortable around their infant or baby or toddler, where basically the dog has displayed some behaviors, for example, growling or avoidance or even nipping or pulling at, and in some cases actually going after their children. And there's always a line that people are looking at in the future. Well, if this happens, for example, if my dog were to bite my child, to attack my child, I would put my dog down, right? And that's something that, I think across the board, all trainers, not that that's not true. I'm sure there are some trainers that would disagree. I'm sure there are some citizens that would disagree. But my feeling is that if a dog attacks a small child unprovoked, especially if it is a dog that is in that family and that family's dog, that the dog has surpassed its usefulness to that family, certainly, and in reality to society. Because if we take that dog and say we have to adopt this dog out to a family that doesn't have that doesn't have children, sorry. This dog needs to go to a house with just adults. That would seem to a lot of people like a possible solution. You say, man, this dog is great, except he had this one problem with a kid one time, that's it. But my perspective is that from a place of emotional liability and as a member of this community and society, we have to look at things on the broader spectrum and a broader picture. And if it so happened that this dog lived out all of his days at these people's house, they have no kids, and he never met another child in his life, maybe everything would be okay. But there are possibilities that maybe this dog escapes from the house. Maybe these people, maybe something happens to these people and the dog ends up in a rescue. Or maybe the dog, maybe they forget, or they think that the original person maybe made up the story or exaggerated, and that dog ends up in a situation where he has access to a child again and another child gets hurt. In that context, especially, like I said, we're talking about infants here and toddlers, basically, not even like walking age children, because there's so many reasons why it might occur with walking age children. But an infant that can't move, can't do anything at all if they're attacked by a dog. This is the situation that we're talking about here. So there could always be another possibility down the line. And are you willing to subject the community to the possibility of that happening? And you got to weigh those options for yourself. Now, that being said, if the dog has not bitten anybody yet, it hasn't bitten a child yet, it's possibly, maybe growled or lunged, or there might have been intent, but there was no actual crime committed, then we have an opportunity there to say that we can stop this from happening. And that falls into, there's two categories of, I can drop things into two categories of dog ownership. And that's dog training, where we try to create an understanding of cause and effect to the dog. And that is also management. Management is zookeeping. Management is, in situations where training wouldn't suffice, we use management. So, fences are an excellent source, or an excellent sort of management that we use all the time. So if you have a dog that may not stay super close to your property, then we put a fence up, and then your dog has to stay close to your property, unless your dog can jump over the fence, in which case you had insufficient management. You need a higher fence. You need a fence with an inside leaning member at the top. You need roller bars. You need an electric fence, whatever. So those are all like management things that we talk about a lot. A crate is a management tool to keep your dog in one location when you're not there, for example. If you could train your dog to stay on its bed for 8 hours while you went to work or something like that, you could avoid the management, but that's a hard training problem. So in the situation that we have where our dog is, say it's growled at our kid, the very first thing is management. Manage the situation. Do not let the dog near the kid. Do not allow the dog to be within 3 feet of the child. There's no reason to subject your child to the possibility of injury, or anyone else's child. You don't put the baby up to the dog and let the dog smell it. You don't bring the dog, right up next to the crib and say, it's okay, it's okay. No, none of that. Very first thing is you remove them from each other's presence first. And I don't care if that is sending, I don't care. It doesn't matter what signal that's sending. It's not worth risking or injuring any health or safety of the child. No dog training is. So then you have a possibility of working on training that can help to benefit you. So the very first thing that I would look at would be, do I have control of my dog in a general sense? If my dog is on leash, can I handle my dog? Can my dog pull me towards something that my dog wants to do, as opposed to me being in control of where the dog goes? If I can keep him in a small area, the better trained your dog is, and the better your dog understands leash pressure and things like that, the better likelihood that you can keep your dog in one place, and then you can start working on some of the other things, counter conditioning or exposure, whatever else you want to do with your child present. But like I said, the very first thing, you need to have control of your dog. If you have control of your dog, then you start talking about the other things. If you don't have control of your dog, go to a dog trainer, right? You can get control of the dog with a dog trainer. You should be able to. The true situation, and I'm currently, will be experiencing this very soon. I don't have any children, but I have a child being born in somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 weeks. So I will soon find out this will be where the rubber meets the road. But until this time, all of my knowledge has been from experience of watching other people and their dogs, hearing stories, things of that nature. And what I do, and what I've always taught people, is to create systems where you can manage your dog inside the house. So that might look like an Xer pen, which is a mobile gated area that you can move around or leave in one place, but that your dog is not able to access the rest of the house. So you gate in the dog. So you're containing the dog. That is, probably the easiest of these management solutions, besides putting your dog on the other side of town, right? So your dog can be in the pen, and the child can be, say, on the floor, or you can have the child with you. You can experience the child without having to worry about the dog creating an unsafe environment. You can also pen yourself in, so to speak, whether that's with a playpen that you put around yourself, or an Xer pen that you put around yourself, or even something the nature of gates in doorways. So I could block off my kitchen, for example, so that my dogs cannot get into my kitchen, and then my child could have free roam of the kitchen, but we couldn't go in the rest of the house. So in that sense, I'm penning myself in and allowing the dog to have freedom of the entire house. This requires some thinking and probably cooperation from all the people who live in the house. And you can start to create patterns based on these new rules. The child is not allowed to mess with the dog pen. The dog is not allowed to mess with the gate at the kitchen. And you're, again, creating boundaries that everyone can accept. And the reason is to avoid injury to the child and avoid potentially having to rehome or put down your dog. So you can probably tell that I am not the type of person who likes pictures of dogs with babies on Facebook. So if you are posting pictures of your dog and your baby together, don't expect me to like it. Now, not every dog is dangerous to babies or children, right? The dogs that aren't, though, if you put a picture up of your 6-month-old child with your 3-year-old bulldog, the narrative or the story that you're telling is that this is safe. And you may not be telling everyone in the world you should do this with your dog, verbally or with words, but you are telling them with your actions. And that's why I think it's quite problematic in those situations. Not that I think every single dog is dangerous to children, but every dog is certainly capable of being dangerous to children. There's, basically an old, I guess it's a joke, it's not very funny, but if someone asks, does your dog bite? You say, he has teeth, because anything with teeth can bite, and any bite could really do serious damage to a child. So I think that the number one thing, get control of the dog. If the dog has, already, again, I'm talking about infants and very, very young children. This is not about herding breed dogs that, run after 6-year-olds and nip at their ankles. This is about dogs that are allowed to approach 6-month-old infants and actually bite them or growl at them or something like that. These are very different scenarios. And there's as many different scenarios as there are people and dogs. There's almost an infinite number of things that could happen. So this isn't it's not a panacea. I'm certainly not really fixing anything anyway. What I'm telling you is don't risk it. Create separation. Keep your dog and your child safe, or other children, or other dogs. I do not intend on letting other dogs around my children, at that young age. And I don't intend on allowing my own dogs to investigate the child, sniffing them and checking them out and things of that nature. There's no reason why, there's nothing to be gained from that in the dog's life or in the child's life. The only thing that you're gaining in that moment is possibly like a cute picture for Instagram or whatever. That to me is not worth the possible risk. So, if this does answer any questions, that's cool. If it was basically just a complete rant, then that's cool too. I hope that people like hearing it. Anyway.